Hi there, good morning. Tributes to the football icon Pele, who's died at the age of 82.
Yeah, the Brazil legend is the only player to have won the World Cup 3 times and is universally acknowledged as one of the greatest the game has seen.
So Pele famously described football as the beautiful game, didn't he? And arguably, no individual did more to make it so.
No, that's right. Edson Arantes de Nascimento died yesterday at the age of 82. The hospital say his death was a result of the progression of the colon cancer that they had been treating.
As well as winning 3 World Cups, the Brazil legend scored over 1,000 career goals.
Well, this here is the hospital in Sao Paulo where Pele passed away. He had initially had a tumour removed from his colon back in September 2021, but was admitted here on November the 29th as his health deteriorated.
Pele's daughter, Kelly Nascimento, posted a picture on her Instagram account which appeared to show her and her family's hands on his body with the caption, "Everything we are is thanks to you. We love you infinitely. Rest in peace."
Well, Pele's official social media account posted, "Inspiration and love marked the journey of King Pele, who passed away today. Love, love and love forever."
Well, the world of football and beyond have been paying tribute to the Brazil great. In Brazil, the famous Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro has been lit up in the football team's national colours in Pele's honour. The government has announced there will be 3 days of mourning for Pele.
Well, here in the UK, Wembley was also lit up in the Brazil national colours last night in honour of Pele. The Football Association have said that they are paying tribute to a true football icon.
News of Pele's death was announced less than an hour before last night's championship games were due to kick off, and those who could paid their respects with a minute's applause.
While at tennis's United Cup in Brisbane, the players and audience paid tribute to Pele ahead of the Italy against Brazil tie.
Well, Pele remains Brazil's leading goal scorer, although Neymar has now joined him at the top of that list. He scored 77 times in just 92 appearances for his country, and that included 12 World Cup goals.
And the man he tied with at the top of that list, Neymar, posted this. He said, "Before Pele, 10 was just a number. I read that somewhere at some point in my life, but that line, beautiful, is incomplete. I would say that before Pele, football was just a sport. Pele changed everything. He transformed football into art, entertainment. He gave voice to the poor, to the black, and above all, he gave Brazil visibility. Football and Brazil elevated their standing thanks to the king. He is gone, but his magic will endure. Pele is eternal."
OK, let's get more reaction to this sad news now. The Mail on Sunday's chief sports reporter Oliver Holt is with us in the studio, and the Times chief football writer Henry Winter is with us as well. Good to see you both. This is a question to both of you, I guess. I'm going to start with you, Ollie, because you're here. We heard from Neymar there. Of course, he's going to go past Pele's goal tally for Brazil, but this godlike status in Brazil is safe, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he epitomised for a generation, for my generation really, epitomised the beauty of football, the unselfishness of football. I think he appeared on the scene, or burst onto the scene, in 1958 when he scored when he won the World Cup at the age of 17, which is remarkable in itself. But I think for my generation, that 1970 World Cup epitomised everything that's great about football, and I think the impact of it is hard to imagine now because it was the first World Cup that was in colour, and Pele was the god of that team, that wonderful team in yellow and blue, and he, as I say, he epitomised everything that was beautiful about football. He epitomised to me unselfishness, creativity, beauty, and I think people of my generation, a lot of people in sport, he made us fall in love with football, and there can't be any higher tribute than that, really.
Yeah, incredible tribute, Ollie. And Henry, morning to you as well. Pele won 3 World Cups. Incredible player. What are your own memories?
Morning, all. My own memories was, like Ollie, I had the joy of interviewing the great man 3 or 4 times down the years. And just as he was when he played in Azteca or Maracanã or wherever, he drew a crowd. And even just a sort of straightforward interview with him wouldn't be a one-on-one, as Ollie well knows. There would be about 200-300 people would immediately gather. A crowd would gather, either because they knew in advance or because they saw Pele in a hotel lobby, and they joined in the interview. And I was looking around thinking, hey guys, this is supposedly a one-on-one. And there were people lobbing questions at the great man. So look, he belonged to Brazil, he belonged to football, but he belonged to the world. And just little things like, he was in London 2 years before the Brazil World Cup, and he was doing some promotional work, and there was an event at the Victoria and Albert Museum, which I'm sure you've been there. It's a very sort of august cultural place, and there was Pele just taking questions from Scottish fans who were passing by saying, "Are Scotland going to qualify for the World Cup?" And Pele looked at them and said, "Believe, you can do it. We'll see you in Brazil." And these Scottish fans just went away thinking, this man is the greatest man on earth. And that was his great joy. You know, as a player, he transcended football. He, 3 World Cups. But what he actually did off the pitch, the way he had this grace about them, this humanity, he made everyone, because he looked at people in the eye, because he smiled, because he radiated warmth and goodwill, he just made people feel good on and off the pitch. So, a legend of a man as well as a legend of a footballer.
That Henry says that, what's marketed in all our videos today that we're seeing, he was a really likeable character. He was called God, but he never got big-headed about it, even though he jokes that he was the better player, but he's talking about his parents saying that, he was really likeable. And I suppose that makes, like Henry was saying, that's why he transcended everything, really, in some respects.
Yeah, he was likeable, and he was, I think he was an ambassador for the game, certainly. And I mean, he was one of the icons of sport, not just of football. I mean, I think we play this game a lot of the greatest and across sports, not just across football. But I think he transcends sport to a point where we don't just talk about him as a football icon, but we talk about him as up there with Muhammad Ali, really, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. He's in that, Jack Nicklaus. He's in that company. He was an icon of sport, not just of football.
Let's talk about the numbers, Ollie, as well. I mean, looking at the goals, 757 goals officially that he's been credited with in 812 games in his career. I mean, it's remarkable numbers when you look at that as well, isn't it?
Well, they are remarkable numbers, Pete, particularly when you think, as I said earlier on, I think one of the things I always admired about Pele and loved about him was the idea of his unselfishness and the fact that, like Lionel Messi, I suppose, he created goals for other players as well. He was a team player, and to me, the most iconic moment of his career is the moment where he, in the 1970 final, when he lays the ball, a very, very simple pass, but just across the face of the box for Carlos Alberto to score their 4th goal, which in my mind is the greatest goal ever scored. And one of the reasons it's the greatest goal ever scored is because Pele was a genius, and part of his genius was to do the simple thing of lay a very simple pass into the path of Carlos Alberto. And, so for him to put up those numbers that you're talking about and at the same time be a creator as well is astonishing.
Yeah, Henry, we're talking about the numbers. I mean, they really are remarkable. And it's funny because last night Alan McInally talks about the fact that, he feels that it's kind of, he's thinking about it before he even does anything on the pitch. But in some respects, was it more instinct for Pele? Do you think he had to think about it much?
I think he was the combination of instinct and intelligence. I think that you listen to the players he played with and the coaches who coached him, and they say that he only needs to be told something once, whether it was a move. And as Ollie says, the pass to Carlos Alberto, who arrives like a steam train from the right of your screen and scores that goal. I mean, he was just phenomenal, and that sort of sums up his selflessness. And people compare eras, but that final that Ollie mentions, I mean, they took apart a really good Italian team. Mazzola, Boninsegna, Riva, Rivera came on. This was an outstanding team that they took apart. It wasn't just a collection of journeymen who happened to get to the final. So I think one of the greatest compliments you can pay Pele, and everyone's celebrating him as a footballer quite rightly, is that in one of the greatest teams we've ever seen in the World Cup, probably the greatest team, that 1970 Brazil team, he stood out in a team of Gerson, Tostão, Rivellino, Clodoaldo, all these players, Carlos Alberto as well, sort of creative right back, probably be running midfields nowadays. So, he was in a great team. But as Ollie says, that selflessness. And what I love about all these tributes is that people are rightly focusing on the goals, and they are remarkable. 77 for Brazil is astonishing. But actually, it's the moments when he didn't score, the bank save, the run around on the goalkeeper, the attempt from the halfway line. And it's that people are also celebrating, that ingenuity, that invention, that risk-taking, which is what we love in our greatest footballers, whether it's Maradona or Messi more recently. That ability to conjure up some magic, the Cruyff turn, in 74, all those events, that are just sort of entrenched in our memory. And Pele just bequeathed so many of those moments.
It's a great point on the ingenuity there, isn't it, Ollie? And there was a great video I was watching actually this morning on the way into work, and it was saying that everything that you see the modern footballers do, Pele did it first, and it was all these little moments like the ones that Henry just mentioned. But was he ahead of his time, Pele, do you think, in some ways?
Oh, I think in a lot of ways. I've seen that video too, and it's amazing, really. I think he did the Cruyff turn before Cruyff did the Cruyff turn. So, no, I mean, I think, look, he epitomised a kind of style and grace in football. And I was in Brazil in the summer, actually, to see Zico, because it's 40 years since that great Brazil team of 1982, sort of, that didn't quite make it at that World Cup. And everybody that I was talking to there, including Zico, they talk about the 1970 team and the 1982 team as the teams that they are most proud of, that they love the most. They've won the World Cup since then, obviously. But the style of football that they played in 70, the style that they played in 82, Zico is very much an heir of Pele. Actually learned some of his football from one of Pele's tricks books. The style that those teams played, I think, epitomised something that made them about more than football, really, and made them heroes to all of us.
It's interesting. We're watching all the videos today. Henry, he kind of was mixing, rubbing shoulders with presidents, with movie stars, and everyone. You said everyone clamoured to meet him. Why was that? I missed my chance. I will hold my hand up. I hadn't a chance to meet him, and a reporter got in before me and literally said, "No, I'm doing that." And that's what everyone wanted to do. Everyone wanted to meet him. Why do you think that was?
Because of his warmth, because of, if he brought sunshine into your lives, whether you met him before or whether you knew him well, he just radiated goodness, warmth, fun. I mean, it takes something to steal a scene from Michael Caine, but he managed it in Escape to Victory. It's absolutely brilliant when he's describing. They were showing it last night, and I was tempted to watch the whole film again because it's brilliant. But he was saying, "This is how I'm going to attack," and he picks up the ball in his own box and he just sort of draws on this this blackboard, this run he's going to make and beat all these German opponents. So he was just fun. But what's also come through with the tributes and came through with in Ollie's piece with Zico was the love that opponents had for him, the fact whether they played against him or played with him. I mean, you think of the iconic photograph of him and Bobby Moore. You think of his friendship with Gordon Banks. You know, they were great foes on the pitch, but they were also great friends off it. And I just think, in a way, what a life lesson, what a sports lesson that is, that you can compete hard for 90 minutes against someone. You know, maybe there's kicking, and you know, Pele could look after himself on the pitch as well as get kicked. And yet, the moment the final whistle went, close friends. And when Gordon Banks sadly passed away in 2019, Pele's Facebook post was just so poignant, talking about Banks as the man who made the save of the century. And he said, well, I missed a chance to score a goal then, but then I made a friend for life. And that sums up Pele. That sportsmanship, that ability to think beyond football, I think it's just a fantastic lesson. It's one of the reasons why he's being so warmly remembered today.